What is up, people? Nico Games here, and welcome back to Amorous. Now, just looking at my channel, you guys seem to love this series, and I'm extremely thankful for that. I mean, the amount of views this series has gotten so far just on the 2 episodes I've created, it's amazing. I mean, I know they're not astronomically high, but like, it's still incredible, so thank you for that. And I will continue to do this series. Sorry, I'm still just a little bit sick. But I will continue to do this series if you want me to. So let's continue. Yeah. Alright, where are we? Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff we can click on. That's Kobe's Australian boyfriend, Marty. Apparently, he is making plans to visit sometime. I guess he understands my brother can't keep his pants on for that long. Never something I use often myself, but it's been at least getting me up before noon. Badges Kobe has collected from going to cons. Okay. Kobe still got the hots for marsupials after meeting his pen pal. Apparently he was the thunder down under and then some. Oh, good lord. My brother's bed. The springs are a little worn out, but otherwise still leagues better than mine. If you're wondering why I'm sleeping here, it's for a fresher perspective. Every time I look over at this corner of the room, the bedroom from mine, I just think of them going at it. Okay. My entertainment center for the last few weeks. Alright, we got something on our phone. I already got that achievement. Diary? No. Contacts. Seth. I knew that focusing on his writing was going to eat up Seth's time, but it seemed like forever since I last saw him. Oh, still stuffy notes. No phone calls, no texts, nothing. It was enough to make me question if I hadn't been just confused about the signals. Oh yeah, 'cause we kissed him last time. I thought we had a connection. He was certainly interested in me, but this undermined the whole idea. Why else would he just leave me hanging? Maybe he really did just want some temporary. Kobe was there for me. We even went to the club a couple of nights to see if Seth had shown back up there. Sadly, there was no sign of him. Eventually, I'd given up and just slumped on the couch and lost myself in daytime television. Ew, who watches daytime television anymore? I wasn't normally like this, but putting myself out there only to wind up with nothing, it was a hard thing to just bounce back from. I knew I'd eventually have to pick myself back up, and for now it felt comfortable just to wallow. Kobe was in the shower, and I had just finished watching the 5th rerun in a row when there was a knock at the front door. My instinct was to ignore it. I couldn't think of anyone who might be stopping by. A second knock eventually got me off the couch and stumbling towards the door. I half expected it to be some local group doing fundraising. At least this point I was feeling low enough that wolfing down a box of cookies sounded like a good idea. Samuel! I'm so glad it was the right house. Seth? What the heck are you doing here? How did you know where I lived? Why didn't you call? Well, the not calling was due to me being a scatterbrain. When we parted ways, my head was buzzing with a million ideas. I had to get them out before they drove me crazy. And one of those ideas involved losing my number? Indirectly, yes. I tossed my pants in the wash before I went to bed, like I normally do. I'd forgotten your number was in the pocket. So I started the machine in the morning, and by the time I realized my mistake, all that remained was a soggy lump of paper. Okay, but why didn't you stop by the club or anything? I checked a couple of times and didn't see you. I was cloistered in my apartment, subsisting on delivery food and coffee. In retrospect, it could have been something strange out of a novel I read. It was intense. It just kept pouring out of me. I never thought I was like that. What came out of you? And you still haven't explained how you found my address. I mean, I'm a little upset you didn't call, but not about this. I think. It's just weird. That I could write a whole story about. Of course it was Kobe. Me, I found him for you. Kobe? What? Kobe! Thanks again. You're a lifesaver. Last night, I overheard him at the bar asking about you. You'd mentioned the cute feline you'd been seeing. You called me cute? Anyway, I mentioned I was your brother. We got to talking for a bit, and I told him how down in the dumps you were lately. I felt terrible about that. I mean, I was a little flattered that you were pining for me. My cheeks began to flush red as I stammered out a defense. I wasn't pining. I was just sad since I hadn't heard from you in so long. I told him that he should drop by today and catch back up with you. Maybe get you off the couch for a while. And here I am, groveling on bended knee. I can't tell you how amazing our first time together was. I wouldn't want you to think I'd just leave it to that. First time? First time doing what, huh? Both me and Seth blushed profusely as Kobe began to laugh. You two are way too easy to embarrass. I think I'm liking the idea of Seth and you. I like it too. Kobe, how about you go and make some coffee for all of us? Seth and I need to talk. Alright, I know when I'm no longer needed. You were right about him. He is quite the character. He's my brother. We have always been there for each other. He does get a little nosy about my personal life sometimes, however. You don't need to put sometimes in however. It's good to have someone who cares about you. You still haven't told me what kept you locked up by yourself for so long. It wasn't something bad, was it? Bad? Not in the least. Voice break. Without another word, he turned away and began digging through his book bag. A moment later, he handed me a pile of papers, all neatly collated and held together with a binder clip. My arms almost sagged the weight. There it is, all thanks to you and your brilliant inspirational techniques. What is all this? I'm still not getting it. Dude, it's your book! It's the story we talked about. I sat down and wrote it, beginning to end. It's true, it had been a while, but this was nearly a ream of paper I was holding. The amount of work and time he was suggesting would be mind-boggling. Nevertheless, there it was, a title page and thousands of words that followed. How did you do this? You must have been really inspired. When you suggested I give you an idea to write, I didn't expect it would completely consume you. I know! I've never been this driven before. Maybe it was your encouragement. or your practicality. I just know that when I got home, I was focused like I'd never been before. Honestly, I didn't know what to make of any of this. I had mostly thought it was just some playful game, like his interview. The pile of papers in my hand suggested otherwise. Oh my god. Sam, I want you to read it. Not this very second, of course, but go through the whole thing. And don't worry, no more radio silence from me. Kobe insists on watching me program your number into my phone. And I won't be losing that anytime soon. Why not now? That's quite a bit of work. Nothing against what you've accomplished. It's monumental. But that would be way too much work to read in one sitting. Again with the practicality. Still, I have even less room to complain than before. I've never been able to sit down and write like that. Me neither. That said, I'm happy to see you and I'm not kicking you out. Would you like some brunch or something? I'm sure you could use some home-cooked food after all that takeout. Yay! I was happy to catch up with Seth, so am I, even with Kobe listening in intently. We had some pancakes, light conversation, and once Kobe had gotten a few pages of Seth's work away from the pile, he insisted we sit down and read the whole thing. It was astounding. The indecisive tone was gone, and there was a confidence to it that I hadn't seen in the snippets he'd shared with me. I began to feel awkward for having such a profound effect in so little of time. Eventually, once the dishes were cleared, we got to chatting more about more than just writing. Is it wise to invite me into your bedroom so soon? Did you have some ulterior motives I was unaware of? Well, no. I mean, none that I would act on. I mean, oh god, Seth. I get the feeling there's something else you want to tell me. Haha! It isn't at all about the writing. Don't get me wrong. You've been an amazing inspiration, but I wanted to know if there was something more. Something more? Like, I mean, I'm attracted to you. You're attractive. There, I said it. Wow, it feels good to get that off my chest. And it's not too bad to hear either, I admit. I'm just baffled. Don't be baffled! Did you think I was only after you for your writing skills and inquisitive nature? I suppose not, on some deeper level. I've just gotten my signals crossed before, and yeah, so have I. It's not fun. It's not important. It's more important that we're on the same page. And that I give you a proper date next time. I look forward to it. Not that I don't enjoy our conversations, but it's nice to be wined and dined as well. Something romantic and intimate would be great. It's a date. Or it will be. I'll just need some time to plan. I'm not particularly well versed at this sort of thing. Fair enough, but don't leave me hanging like that again. I can only take so much before I have to hunt you down and force you to buy me some chocolates. You say that like it's a bad thing. Still, we don't need to wait to have a good time. Unemployment is still looming large over me, and you seem pretty free today. Is there something you'd like to do? This is pretty nice, no? He looked so adorable when his cheeks were flushed. I leaned over to ruffle his ears. Ah, so you just want to stay cooped up in someone else's bedroom? Not just someone's. Yours, specifically. This is all about your plans to keep us in bed. Should know about that. I can lock the door so Kobe doesn't barge in. What? No, I mean not quite, but you're enjoying this, aren't you? Very much. A little bit. Actually, quite a bit. You should know, I've never gotten to see your place. I imagine it's quite nice. It's serviceable, but Spartan. I'm afraid I'm not terribly good at the domestic side of things. What do you mean domestic side of things? Domestic side of things? What does that mean? Just said that. Well, I never really learned how to cook for one thing. I've also never been much of a shopper. I tend to just get what I need at that moment. My foresight might be a bit lacking in that regard. Never learned to cook? Not even ramen or oatmeal? The microwave is about the extent of my cooking skills, and even then, I run the risk of setting myself on fire. I don't see the point, I suppose, in getting tied down to where you live. Life can change abruptly. He makes a fair point. Like, about getting tied down to where you live, because life can change abruptly. You moved often, didn't you? Sometimes I thought that way. Makes sense. Makes sense. Being too attached to things can weigh you down, it's true. I know this whole unemployment thing hit me harder than I thought. I'm sure it did. I do still feel bad about that. Though I guess I'm a little happy that it got you to come to the club that night. Aww. As the two of us got to chatting, it made me realize just how little we really knew about each other. Seth was happy to share, and he brought out some things of my own that I hadn't thought about in a long time. I know it sounds cliche, but being the only child and having expectations piled on you can be hard in its own way. Some part of me thinks that I'll never be anything but a disappointing footnote for my parents. Well, that's not a healthy line of thought. Parents can be more forgiving than you think. Mine trusts me to keep Kobe in line, but he also keeps me from staying sad for too long. They knew we were a good fit when we started living together. Maybe you just haven't given yours enough time to come to terms with your choices. Maybe so. I suppose if I'm not great at reading people, I may not have been good at reading them. Goodness knows once college started, I all but vanished from their lives. If I may, you do seem to get lost in your own head. As it's been said multiple times, you can't have experienced everything yet, so you can't expect to know everything either. Well, before we get too deep into a depressive pit, I think we should change the subject. Fair enough. Did you give any more thought to getting your stuff published? I thought you might have forgotten about that suggestion. No, I haven't really been looking into places to publish. Well, why not? This in particular is some of your best work. You need to at least put yourself out there and give it a try. I wouldn't even know where to begin. This is the first substantial piece I've written since I graduated. I don't even know if it's any good. If you're concerned about getting picked up, why not just self-publish? I hear it's super easy now. It is, but it's also flooded with everyone else who wants to be a writer. I'd be fighting against hundreds, if not thousands, of other people without so much to make me stand out. Believe me, your writing stands out. Kobe's the least bookish person I know, and he couldn't put it down. Thanks. But But even if it is good, it'll be buried in a sea of other books. It'd help if someone with some visibility could boost it or plug it. Which brings me back to square one. I couldn't bear to see him giving up so soon after accomplishing so much. We talked for a while longer, glancing at the manuscript and back at each other until I remembered. What about the author we saw? Nick. We could talk to him. He was mentioning that he had another reading sometime soon. You've got to be kidding. I mean, he probably gets swarmed with fans wanting him to prove their stories. Why would he give me the time of day? Because it's a start. Just like with writing, you've got to take a chance and put words down on a blank page. Worst he'll do is say no, and I'll buy another copy of his book so he doesn't eject us. Us? You're coming with me? Of course I am. I got you inspired enough to write all that. The least I can do is be there to try to help you make something of it. His eyes went wide for a moment, his lip trembling cutely as he stared at me. In a moment, he was on top of me, hugging me tightly and burying his face into my neck. It took a moment, and the rather awkward rush of blood through my body before he slipped off me, seeming to realize that he'd practically tackled on my bed. Then let's do this. Come hell or high water, I'm going to see my name in print. I smiled broadly. He seemed most in himself when he was excited, and I was growing to enjoy that about him more and more. We checked the library's schedule and found out when the next reading was. If we left the house immediately, we could just make it. We said our goodbyes to Kobe, leaving him with a cup of coffee and a confused look before jumping in the car. We were both nervous. Seth spent the trip looking out the window and then back at the pile of papers in his lap. I caught myself glancing over at him now and again, hoping that I wasn't setting him up for failure. You aren't. This is gonna go good. We made it to the library just at the tail end of the reading. Again, there was a table out front for signings, and after enough people had filtered out and away from the lobby, we walked up. Thanks for coming. Hey, you made it. Glad to see I was convincing enough to get you to return. Seth stood there, quivering, blushing, and completely unable to speak. Once the author's face shifted to a concerned look, I knew I had to do something. I don't mean to be a bother. It's just, it was nice to chat with you for a bit at the last one, and my friend, Seth here, wanted some professional advice. The author looked a little skeptical as I waved for Seth to step up closer. Yes, can't speak, clutching a sheaf of paper in your hands and catching me at the end of a reading. Let me guess, you want me to look over something? Yes? The author sighed to himself for a moment before looking back up to Seth. I can't read. I got 100 enthusiastic writers trying to ply me with buying copies of my book, or giving me gifts to get me to read their work. There's a reason publishers have slush piles, you know. Do we speak up for Seth, or do we convince him to speak up for himself? I looked over to Seth and nodded my head in the author's direction. I knew if he really wanted to do this, he'd need to speak up for himself. I know. I've read the horror stories about slush piles, agent fees, and publishing in general. It's been part of what kept me from sitting down to write. I don't expect much, just a glance or some advice. I'm sure you know how difficult it is for new writers. I remember you talking about it in your memoir. It was a difficult time, getting noticed enough to actually snag a publishing contract. Even then, I still have to stay relevant, go to signings and readings. It's hard work. I know. That's why I'm willing to take the risk. Because someone believes in me, and that's a start. Seth glanced back at me with a smile, his tail flickering against my hip. The author chuckled and held out his hand. All right, first 3 pages. You've got a few minutes of my time, and I'm not pulling any punches. Of course! Seth's eyes went wide as the author took the pages offered and began to browse. I patted him gently on the shoulder and went to sit down, letting my body calm down from the high. As I glanced back over, the two of them were having a spirited conversation. The author seemed particularly animated and was smiling. A wave of relief rolled over me. All right, I'll give you a call soon. I had zoned out for most of the conversation, but perked back up when Seth came over, nearly vibrating with joy. He liked it. He actually liked it. He said it was rough, which I expected being a first draft, but he was going to take the first chapter to his agent. See, it's worth it to take a risk every now and again. Way to go, Seth. You're more than just a muse. You're like my guardian angel. Flattery will get you everywhere. No, I'm not. Oh, come on. Once I saw someone I liked getting so close to their dreams, I had to do something. I like to think you would have done the same. He smiled broadly and leaned up to kiss me on the cheek. You are far too modest, Samuel. Literally none of this would have been possible without you. Which is why we must go celebrate. I know just the place. Are we going back to the club? It was still too early to go to the club, so we decided to swing back to my place. Seth was animated like I'd never seen before. His head was flooded with possibilities, hopes, and dreams about what this could... something. I was glad to see him happy, and did enjoy some basking in his adulation, but I also remembered what Nick had said about the hours, the travel selling himself at stores. What if his dreams meant the end of us? Seth's enthusiasm didn't stop even after we walked through the door. The instant he saw Kobe, he scooped him up in a hug. I think it was the first time I ever saw my little brother turn that purple. My goodness, I don't think I've ever felt this energized. I'm glad to hear it. We can hang out here for a while, and then all 3 of us can hit the club. We can have a couple drinks, dance a little, maybe pick up a guy. That's all you, bro. That sounds fantastic. Look at me. I've never danced before in my life, and I'm giddy at the thought of it. Thought of making an ass of myself. That's the spirit, Seth. Maybe I should sit down for a moment? My head is still reeling from all this. We've got plenty of time. Why don't you go lie down for a bit? I've got a few things to do around the house. I'll check in a few minutes. Thank you again, Samuel. You are the most gracious host. He's a cutie, Samuel, and a good hugger. Hey now, hands off. I saw him first. I also may have helped launch his dream career. He's all yours. It's pretty clear he's really into you. I chuckled as I slid out of my coat. There were still a few things to do if we were going out tonight. I wondered if I should get to them or check up on Seth. We'll finish chores first. My responsibility got the better of me, and I started in on the chores I'd been neglecting. Kobe took this as his cue to leave, ducking out the door before I could ask him to help out. Thanks, Copes. Hey, thanks for the chores. I almost forgot. I'm meeting someone for coffee before the club anyway. It never seemed to really work out well, being the practical one of the two of us. Still, left to my own devices, I made short work of the dishes and the cleaning. It wasn't long before the sun had begun to set in the sky. I hadn't heard a peep out of Seth despite my activity out front. I took off the latex gloves I'd been using and left them on the counter as I peeked into the bedroom. What are we gonna see? What are we gonna see? Clearly, Seth had overestimated his stamina. He was out cold and snoring softly. Do we wake him up? Because we are going to the club. Or do we let him sleep? Yeah, we'll wake him up. Despite poking, prodding, and shoving, Seth refused to wake up. I guess he pushed himself pretty hard with the story. It probably meant I wouldn't make it to the club, but somehow that wasn't as big a deal as I thought. I must have dozed off for a second myself, because when my eyes flickered open, Seth was stretching and yawning as he got back to his feet. Oof, what happened? You fell asleep about 5 hours ago, in Kobe's bed no less, which makes you one of the few people to just sleep in it besides him. I guess I was more exhausted than I thought. Sorry I wasn't more fun tonight. It's alright. We had an exciting day. That, and I much prefer sleeping in the same room as you as to not hearing from you. Samuel? As I sat on the edge of my bed, Seth patted softly over to me. Draping his arms around me, he slid smoothly into my lap and pressed his lips firmly but gently against my own. We held each other in that moment, cloaked in darkness and on such a silent night, just keeping close and safe in each other's arms. Oh my god! When the kiss finally broke, reluctantly on both of our ends, Seth smiled down at me and rested his head on my shoulder for a moment, before slowly sliding back out of my lap. That's my way of saying thank you. Thank you for humoring me, pushing me, and most of all, for being willing to put up with my vanishing. How many other people would be willing to take someone back after that? I'm not most people, Seth. And if that kiss was any indication, you are certainly worth waiting for. Oh my god. You're such a flatterer. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm up for much more tonight. That full body, giddy high I was on has faded, and my body is starting to rebel against my currently vertical position. Let me take you home. Would you like some coffee? Let me drive you home then. I wouldn't want you to pass out on the way and get in an accident. It's alright. It's not that far, and the traffic will be light. Besides, my place is an absolute pigsty right now, and I couldn't bear to have you see that. I have a lukewarm coffee in the car. Only if you're absolutely sure. I am. Fair warning, though. Keep your schedule clear. I intend to make up for these half-hearted dates with something spectacular. I look forward to it. I can't wait to see what you might have planned. Just make sure to pull out all the stops. I assure you, not a single stop will remain unpulled in my entire apartment. He gathered his things together and, after another peck on the cheek goodbye, made his way out the door. Doubt still lingered about Seth's book. It brought us together for the moment, but I couldn't help worry it might also break us apart. Then again, that's what dating was all about, it seems. Being willing to put yourself out there and take a chance that you could make a connection. It's not like I was seeing him for free lunches and attention, but I was clearly important to him. Okay. One second. Okay, I'm going to leave this episode of Amorous here, and I thank you again for enjoying this series, and I hope you enjoy this episode. We had a lot of fun. We got closer to Seth. We got Seth's book published. That was fun, and I really can't wait to see what Seth has planned for us. So if you like this series, give the video a like, comment down below on whether or not you want to see more, and I will gladly make more. So, thank you again for watching this video, and I will see all you guys tomorrow in the next video. Goodbye.